Hello, my name is Damien, and this is my partner's studio, her desk, from where she does tarot card readings. But today I am going to update her overhead camera, the one that looks down upon the cards, and I've had a rig up there. I've had a couple different types of rigs up there that I've made myself, and I'm going to redo it after doing some testing, and I want to show you what I've done. So for a while I was using this rig, so this hung, and actually it kind of hung around here, and we've just been using a smartphone as the camera, and so oh yeah, this was a little different before. I think there wasn't a hole in this, and this would sit on top of this thing. So these little things you can buy at the dollar store for, so I bought a whole bunch of them, and I use these things all the time. This one in particular I've since drilled a hole in and screwed it onto this mount, but before I just used the little rubber clippy thing right on this metal bar, and so it would sit here, and the camera would sit where's my camera? Well, I'll use that one in a second. Would sit here and would look down upon the cards, and this would just kind of get clamped up there. So, but I wanted to use this elsewhere for something else, so I kind of did, hopefully you can see this now, a rig that sort of looks like this. This isn't actually necessary, this USB cord. This is just to connect the computer, or to charge it while we're not using it, and to download files, but it's not really necessary for recording. And this is a spare microphone, which we don't really use that one. This one's the one we usually use. But okay, so after I took that one down, initially I just used a bar that came out here, and I mounted this little clippy thing with the phone on it to the bar, and that sort of worked, but we noticed that there was a lot of vibration coming from the air conditioner through the ceiling, and it was just micro vibrations. So especially when we were zooming in on the cards, you would notice a lot of vibration, and it was pretty bad. I had to edit some of that out with the edit video software, but that takes a long time, so I don't like doing that. So the next step was to try and put some sort of shock isolation system, like a shock mount system. And so I just temporarily, just a few days ago, rigged this up as a test. And so it's basically just a microphone shock mount that I took out, and I stuck in this little hole right here, this slot, and I've got it pinched in here with a screw. So let me undo the screw so I can take it out. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you can see this is just a microphone shock mount. But this, and then I've also got a giant socket. What is this, a 1.5 inch metric socket here, or not metric, American socket, standard. And the reason I have this here was to add some weight to the centerpiece, because the rubber bands on this mount are kind of stiff when they're all stretched out, and I wanted it, and so some of the vibrations still happened to go through with the phone on it. It wasn't quite heavy enough. The phone has some weight, but it wasn't enough. But when I added this to it, it was enough weight that it had enough mass that it stayed relatively still, and it took the vibration almost completely out. But this is sort of a jerry rig thing, and I'm going to do a jerry rig again, but this had issues. Like every time you move this around, I don't know if you can see, but these pinch clamp points that hold the microphone in place and release the microphone, or in this case the socket, they wiggle up and down, and if they touch this ring right here, then the vibration will carry through from this ring, the support ring, through to this these springs, and then it would carry through to the phone, and so you'd still get some vibration. So you had to be in this setup, you really have to be careful that these clamp springs aren't touching this metal ring, and depending on how you angle the phone when it's sitting on here, it can be really tricky. And so I want to do away with this so we don't have faults in the future. So I've decided to make another rig. And I went online to see what I could find, and there are some things. Some mounts are relatively expensive, and I don't really want to go that route, and I also don't want to wait for them. I found another one on eBay. Actually, it was for a GoPro camera that really mounts to the handlebars of your bike, but it's got a little tripod thing. Well, I guess it sits kind of like this, but it's got little elastomer shock absorbers. So, but it's really meant, I could perhaps mount it right here, and it would stick out here, but it would be vertical, and it's really meant to be horizontal. And so I could do something where I could rig it so it would be vertical, but it would take rigging anyway. So, and I didn't feel like spending the $16, and I didn't feel like waiting for it to arrive. So I decided to make my own thing just a few minutes ago, and I took some footage of me making it, but there's no audio, so I'll overlay that. But this is the goofy little rig I made. This right here in the center is just a a pry bar, a nail pulling tool. And the reason I decided to make that the centerpiece is because it's fairly heavy. It's good weight. The metal itself is heavy steel, and it's just something I had sitting around because over the years I've collected multiple things like this, and I never use this. I have actually a couple others that I would use probably before this one. So it was laying around the house, but you could probably pick these up at the hardware store for, I don't know, $10. Don't quote me on that. But it's nice and heavy, and so that will be the bulk of the mass. Also, what I've done is I've strung it in between this frame that I put together with some rubber bands, and so you could mount it almost in any direction. It would work as a shock absorbing thing in any direction. But one tricky thing, I've got these goofy twist ties here, and I might clip these off at some point, but I kind of want to leave them here to show you that there's these twist ties holding the rubber bands there, because if those weren't there, the rubber bands would spread apart a little bit, and then this would twist a little bit more. And so the rubber bands are just necessary to help kind of keep it from twisting this way. So so that's that, and I think might actually work pretty good. I drilled a hole in this right here, which is when I've got the phone mounted on here like this. This is pretty much weighted in the center, or it's balanced right there. So now all I have to do is bolt this right here. I might, if I need to, I'll put another hole above it, but I think this will probably do just fine. And then I'm going to mount it right here where this bolt is already going through, and and then I can adjust this forward and back this way. I can twist it, and then I can also kind of angle it using this. So, and then if I ever wanted to change this rig around, I could also put this on this end, if you know, on this end of the thing. But I don't really have need for that right now. But so this is just a quick and simple and dirty thing that I am going to use to get started. But I wanted to talk about this because there aren't a lot of options for shock mounts on the internet. Like, you go to Amazon and there just aren't anything, or there isn't anything. There is some other equipment for like professional cinematographers, but it's expensive and it tends to be for cameras that are heavier and have a lot of mass built into the camera. So no matter what, you gotta figure out, you gotta do some rigging. And so this is my quick and simple solution that I wanted to share with everybody, and that's it. Let me put this together, and then I'll take some footage and show you the examples with and without this, you know, the original, some of the footage that I've taken in the past. So, all right. Okay, this is with the straight mount, no shock at all. Here we are zooming in to 3 times, and right here, this is the worst of it. You can see the vibration. It's pretty bad. All right. So this is the flex mount. Zooming in again to 3 times, and now you can see that there's a lot less vibration. There's probably a little bit of elasticity in the flex mount, but there's still some vibration. So let's go to the next. Alright, so this is the microphone shock mount that we use just as a test to see if we can get rid of the vibration. And I think this footage, there's a lot of vibration, so I think the spring must have been touching it in this footage. So let's try and find some footage where the spring wasn't touching it. Okay, so here's some footage with the same setup with the microphone shock mount and 3 times zoom, and you can see that it's a lot more crisp, a lot less vibration. This is without the spring touching the ring, like the mounting ring, and so that's the difference between how it gets set up and why it's not trustworthy. So alright, now let's go to the final version that I just built. Okay, and here's the final setup, the one I just built. Zooming in to 3 times. The color is a little different because I don't have the camera set up the same, but the zoom is all the same. And here you can see it's pretty stable. The air conditioner's on, there's lots of vibration in the ceiling, and it's not carrying through to the camera. So, job done. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tune in next time. Thank you. Bye. I have 2 YouTube channels, both of which contain essentially the same content. One contains the longer versions of my videos, which you're watching now. The other contains shorter 1-minute versions. So if you'd prefer to subscribe to the channel with the shorter 1-minute versions, I'll include a link to that in the description below. Or you can click on the short version of this video, which should appear in a box right about here, and that will take you to that channel where you can subscribe from there. And if you enjoyed the content of this video, please hit the like button right about here. And that's it. Thank you for watching.